Welcome to the End Goal Podcast. My name is Arish, and this podcast is a chronicle of my life successes, failures, and lessons as I work towards my end goal. Here, I share stories of my life and those in my circle as we work towards our goals daily. In each episode, I hope to bring you lessons and questions that you can apply to your life and to your goals. I greatly appreciate your presence here, and I hope we can create something genuine through this podcast. Please enjoy today's episode.
What's going on, everybody? How are y'all doing today? Welcome to another episode of the End Goal Podcast. I appreciate you tuning in another week. This is like the sixth week, I believe. I believe this is week 6, which is wild to think about that I'm at week 6, and this is the 11th technically episode because there's 5 original ones and then one each week. The 11th episode, like the 11th video that I've done of this, which is super cool to think about. But how are you guys doing today? I hope your week was good. I hope you accomplished some things this week. I get that we can't accomplish everything we want to every single week because things come up, things get in the way, we get tired. Not all of us are neurotic insomniacs who feel like they can work all hours of the day and can't sleep. So if you slept well this week, congratulations. If you got into the gym this week, congratulations. If you went on a walk this week, congratulations. If you made a sale this week, congratulations. If you made money this week, congratulations. If you found yourself and, I don't know, developed a better connection with yourself this week, congratulations. Congratulations to everything that you've accomplished this week. I'm super proud of you. My week was good. This week we actually have the entire week off. Our firm twice a year just shuts down the U.S. firms for 4th of July and then for Christmas. So this entire week off, we technically didn't have to work. I put in a couple of hours because I needed to, because I'm also going to be taking off later in July. But the entire week I didn't have to work. Went to go see some family. Still been working on content. Still been reading. And still just cranking things out as much as possible. I think I've been doing a lot of thinking, right? I've been doing a ton of thinking. Every day I'm thinking that I'm just not a creator. Or I don't know how to package myself as a creator. Does that make sense? I don't know what I'm supposed to do in order to get me to other people. And so every day I'm thinking, like, what can be different? What can I do different? What can I try differently, whatever it is? And every day I come out with the same answer, which is, I don't know, just keep going. And eventually we'll figure it out. So that's been a little bit of insight into my mind. Now, in terms of what I did this week, I've actually done a lot this week and I'm super happy with it. So this kind of goes into a little bit of last week. I've been working on a project of mine that I'm trying to launch, or at least get off the ground within the next month. And I've been actually doing it differently this time than I did at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, I told you guys I had an Etsy shop that failed. And I learned a lot from it. So this time I wanted to take it a little bit slower, a little bit more intentional, and actually ask people for feedback or just for commentary. So I've been working with my fiance on a lot of things in terms of asking her what looks good, what looks bad, because I realized that I just don't know what looks good to the general public. I know what looks good to me, but every single time I do something that looks good to me, it doesn't go well. So I understand that I don't know what people want, but I am going to ask people what they want. So I've been trying to get my fiance to help me in terms of, like, how does this look? How does this feel? How does where should I place it on the apparel? Whatever it is an apparel thing. So that's been fun. I am cranking along every single day on it, and making progress feels really good. Making progress feels super, super good. I've still been creating content. I've still been reading. And speaking of reading, I wanted to talk to you guys about something before we get into the topic of today's episode. I finally started Hidden Genius by Polina Marinova Pompliano, and this has been a book that I'm looking forward to since last year when she announced it. And I just got to it last night. I was supposed to get to it at the beginning of July. I was supposed to get to it at the end of June. I just never could. So I finally got to it because I wanted to annotate it. I wanted to mark it up, and I wanted to kind of intentionally read it, take out the nuggets that I wanted to, and go about it a little bit more intentionally and informationally, educationally. So I finally started last night. I've only gone through chapter 1 in the introduction. And the reason why I want to talk to you guys about it right now is because I am going to talk about it once I actually finish the book to you guys and on my other channel. But I want to talk to you guys about what I learned from it just in the first chapter. Because if you recall a couple of episodes ago, I was talking about how some of my best ideas come from just taking a shower. Just taking a shower and just letting your mind think freely, right? And I told you guys, I don't know what it is, it just works. So while I was reading this, somehow the universe put this book in front of me and said, I'm going to give you the answer. So it gave me the answer. I'm trying to find it right now. I have it all flagged, but I don't know why I'm not able to find this one specifically. There it is. Okay, so this comes from page 21 of Polina's novel, Hidden Genius. And basically, she's talking about Shonda Rhimes, who is a showrunner, an executive, a producer, and a writer. She's been behind the scripts of some of the most intriguing shows: Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, all those things. And it's a little blurb about Shonda and her creative process. So, at the end of the section, she says that scientists call this process of taking a long time to think, then taking a little time for action, called creative incubation, referring to the process your brain undergoes after it's introduced to a problem, such as a potential plotline. Research shows that the brain unconsciously works to find solutions to the problem even when your attention is occupied by other tasks. This helps explain why many people experience flashes of creativity while doing rote activities such as exercising, showering, or driving. And this was like the big aha moment for me. And it's so cool that I never knew how to look up this question that I had of what is this phenomenon, but the universe just sent it to me in the form of this book. I love that so much. So when I was talking about how my best ideas come in the shower, or my most creative ideas come in the shower, that's why. Because my brain is actively trying to solve this puzzle or internal problem that I'm fabricating, which is I need some creativity. I need to do something different. I need to do something creative. My brain is like, okay, cool. Well, while you're doing mundane stuff, I'm free to work on the creative side of it. Versus if I were I'm not super creative when I'm obviously working my day job because I need to use my brain for my day job. So that was super, super cool. And that was just in the first chapter. I'm going to do chapter 2 tonight, and I'm just excited to see what else comes out of it. That being said, now we can get into the topic of actually today's video, right? Today's video is basically good versus bad goals. And I'm going to give you the lawyer answer because everybody hates this answer, but I should always preface it with this, right? It depends. It's subjective, right? There are objective parts of it, but generally good and bad goals are subjective to the person, or they're subjective to the actions that were taken. What do I mean by that? Well, when I think of a good goal, I think of, well, first of all, I think of a goal, what a goal is, right? A goal takes you from point A to a latter point B, right? It displaces you in some way, whether it's internally, externally. If your goal is making money, right? It takes you from point A of not having the money to point B of having the money. Those kind of things, right? So when I think of a good goal, I think of a goal that displaces you in a positive way, in a beneficial way. It is a +1 to your life. And when I think of a bad goal, it is something that displaces you in a negative way. It's a -1 to your life. But the reason why I say it's subjective, right? The reason why I say it depends on the goal and depends on the actions taken is because you could have you and I could have the same goal, but I could take the actions that end up making it a detriment to my life, and you could take the actions that end up making it a benefit to your life, right? So that's a bad goal for me, but a good goal for you. And what I could do to then change that would then be changing up the actions to make it good for me. So that's how I see a good and bad goal. So I want you to think about when you're creating your goals, right? Is this goal going to give you a +1 in your life? Is it going to give you a +1 to strength, +1 to mentality, +1 to your behaviors, +1 to your mental health, +1 to your gut health, right? Is it going to be beneficial for you, or is it going to be a -1? Is it going to deter and be a detriment to your life? That is the main idea. And to give you an example, let's talk about reading. Let's talk about books. I don't know how many of you guys like to read. I know there are some people out there who just don't like to read. They don't like the activity of reading. They think it's either too slow or they can't get into the stories. The stories don't like captivate them, etc. So they find their entertainment some other way. But reading is objectively going to add a +1 to your life in any form of it, right? If you read nonfiction novels like Hidden Genius, if you read fantasy novels like my entire bookshelf, it'll be a +1 to your life, objectively. But reading might not be a good goal for you because you may not have the time to actually sit down and read a book. And if you try to do that and you end up, you try and spend time reading a book, you don't like it, and then now you don't have time to do other things in your life that you need to do. That could have been a -1 to your life, and now you're already annoyed, you're frustrated, you try to start reading again, whatever it is. So what do? Well, you have a couple of things, right? If you want to change the actions you take to get to the goal, then you start listening to audiobooks. Instead, you have someone narrate the book to you, so you can free up your actual time to do other things else. You just need your ears at that point. Maybe you read something that's not a book, but you read something that will take a little bit less time, but still offer you the benefits of reading, critically thinking, comprehension, all that stuff, right? Long form articles, blog posts. I'm personally a big fan of things like manga and manhwa, which are like comic books, but it's not easy, but like a lot of times it's easy just to go chapter by chapter, and you kind of get what you want in one chapter. You can put it down and then come back to the next chapter later, whatever it is, right? It's not as easy to binge. Those kind of things. So if you wanted to start reading, there's a plethora of different ways to do it if reading a physical book in front of you sitting down does not work. So a good goal of reading can turn bad if you don't take the actions to make it good.
Hey friends, I just wanted to take a quick break in this episode to tell you guys about an amazing tool that I've been using to help shift my perspective on my life and my goals. This isn't sponsored, by the way, but I just really like the item and the product, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So my question to you is, are you looking for a new perspective on life? Or are you looking for a new way to get motivated to get after your goals every day? So the My Life in Weeks poster is an interesting visual representation of the average lifespan. The shaded part is every week that I've lived thus far in my life, and the open, unshaded squares are the weeks that I have left to live up until my expected passing of around age 88 is kind of the expected just average span. The reason why I like this poster and why I don't think it's as morbid as it sounds is because it gave me a new perspective on how to view my life. If you look at the poster a little bit more closely, years 0 through 23 were just the years of education in my life in my infant phase, right? I wasn't really doing anything with my life until I graduated and I started working at age 23. So starting from age 23 and up until age 25, which I am right now, I really only started my life for 3 years, which means I'm just in the infant phase of my life now, once again, and I have time to learn new things, try new things, and do new things. And I have so much more time left than I thought I had. I don't feel like I wasted 20 years of my life in a sense. I really just started 3 years ago. So that's how I view my life, is I'm just starting and I have so much more to do. If you're interested in getting a My Life in Weeks poster, check out the link in the video show notes and use code ENTRO at checkout to get 5% off your entire order. Once again, I want to reiterate, this isn't necessarily a sponsored segment. This episode is not sponsored, but it is just a product that I really enjoy, and I have the opportunity to be affiliated with this company to bring you guys this cool new tool, and I just really like it, and I thought maybe you guys would like it too.
I'm going to switch gears to a different example, right? And this one might be a little bit niche, but bear with me. the goal is building good habits, right? Um, a lot of us want to be able to be active every day. A lot of us want to be able to eat healthy all the time. A lot of us want to be able to look a certain way, feel a certain way, etc. And that comes from your daily habits. So a lot of people have the goal to, I want to improve my daily habits. That's too vague of a goal. We've already talked about this before. Your goals need to be specific. Your goals need to be clear and specific, right? So developing good daily habits, what does that look like? Well, specifically, I want to develop the habit of getting up and getting out and going for a walk every morning, coming back, drinking my creatine in the morning, stretching, opening up my body to then be ready for the day, right? Those are specific things right there. So what are some good actions to take towards that, and what are some bad actions to take towards that, which could then make that goal good or bad? So if my goal is getting up and going out for a walk every day, I need to wake up in a condition to be able to do that. So that means I have to think about it the night before. So in the night before, I have to think about, okay, what time I need to go to bed so I can wake up with the sunlight in the morning, get some sunlight, get a good walk in. What's the weather going to be like? Do I need to maybe put some clothes out for myself so I can just wake up, change, and get out there so I don't have time to think and mull over, right? Do I need to make sure I don't eat certain things at night that would then make me feel lethargic when I wake up? Do I need to not drink water in the morning so then I won't wake up in the middle of the night to have to go pee, and then I want to sleep longer into the morning? Those are kind of actions you would take to then be able to say, okay, cool, I'm up, I can get out, I can go for a morning walk. What are other things to motivate you, right? If you don't like walking because you find it monotone or mundane, like I used to, you can plug in music. I didn't like to plug in music because I was like, I still didn't do anything for me. So I started plugging in podcasts, and that's how I got into walking more, is just listening to a podcast. I'm doing the mundane task of walking, so I'm learning. My brain can focus on the podcast and not have to focus on anything else around me for that time frame. And that was a way for me to also go walk, because I want to listen to this podcast, but I can't listen to the podcast when I'm doing stuff at home, but I can do it if I go for a walk. So then a walk lets me listen to the podcast, and the podcast lets me listen to the walk, right? So those are like two things that go hand in hand. But if you end up taking bad action towards and you couldn't do it, right? What's the incentive to go walking? Well, the incentive to go walking is to feel better, get out, get active, etc. If you can't get yourself in bed at a certain time to then wake up at a certain time to go for a walk, but you keep forcing it, you're eventually just not going to do it, right? Your incentive is not there to, I want to go to bed at 10 to wake up at 5 to go for a walk. You go to bed at 12 and then still try to wake up at 5, it doesn't work, right? So just take the action and say, okay, I understand that I go to bed at this time all the time. So I have two options. Option one, the bad option, is go to bed at 12, still wake up at 5, you're in sleep debt potentially. And then you're not going to want to go for a walk for like 5 days straight after doing it for like 2 days. You know what I mean? Because you'll just want to sleep in. But if you say, okay, cool, if I go to bed at 12, I can wake up at 7, 6:45, 7, and by then I can get out and still get my morning sunlight before I have to go do anything else, that might be a better time for you. So a lot of bad actions come from forcing ourselves to do something versus figuring out figuring out the small little systems and processes for us to be able to do it gradually over time. We want to jump in there head first, balls to the wall, and just do it, right? No thinking, all action. And sometimes that works. But a lot of times, one, that shocks your internal system. Two, you rebound worse after that. And three, you end up back at square one. And that's the worst feeling. The worst feeling is trying something good for you, and you getting back to square one. Just sucks, right? Just sucks. I want you to take stock of what you're doing right now, what you're like working towards, right? Is this goal good for me or bad for me? And I want you to think about this real quick. Wait a minute. I can't say that's a good or bad goal yet. let me think about the way I'm getting there. Let me think about my process to get there. Take stock of the process. Okay, is this process going to make this goal good for me, or this make this goal bad for me? I had to take stock of the fact that I just don't, like, I don't stretch. I really don't. I just got back into the gym. I don't stretch, right? I go for walks. I move around my house all the time. I'm active either cleaning, moving things around, whatever it is. I just don't stretch. And the small little changes that I've made right now that are working, just not working as I want to, but they're working, is that instead of, me only stretching in a certain place in my house, right? If I only stretch on my yoga mat in my living area, but I don't want to go there, I'm not going to stretch. I switched it up. I said, okay, cool. Well, I'm just going to always keep my foam roller in my bedroom with me, because I know that whenever I'm sitting on my bed is the time when I have the free time to stretch. And I'm just going to make sure that it's in my bedroom, in my line of sight. So when I see it and I'm lazing on my bed, I'll think, oh, I should probably roll out right now and stretch just a little bit into the night before I go to bed. That was me turning what was a bad kind of action or a bad situation for my goal into a good one, which is like switching that up. I'm super, super, super bad with taking my protein and creatine every single day. I don't feel like taking it every single day. I don't take it every single day. So, but what I do is I make a point to, like, I put myself in a situation where I need to take it. And by that, I mean in the mornings when I have my 45-minute commute to work. I'm like, well, I'm not going to eat anything in that time. I'm going to be driving. So commuting in the morning to work is a very easy time for me to make my creatine in the morning, sip on that as I'm getting ready, make my protein shake in the morning, and just take it with me in the car. That way, either I'm sipping on it in the car, and then when I get to work, I'm sipping on it at work as my like initial breakfast, and then I will have a banana or have an apple or whatever it is, and that'll hold me over till lunch. But the days that I don't do that, I realize I'm super like irritable, I'm hungry, I'm like not super focused at work, and it just becomes a whole situation. So, because my goal is still to have a healthier gut biome, my goal is still to enjoy food, my goal is still to not gain weight, but just keep my frame filled, my body frame filled. And so I can't do that unless I drink this creatine and I have this protein. I just can't. I've tried so hard to eat vegetables like every single meal or whatever it is. I can't. I don't like cooking them. I don't care for them, all that shit. So I just got a greens powder for now. While I'm working out, okay, how can I get back into cooking these fresh vegetables? I just have my greens powder. So I combine my protein, my greens powder. Tastes like ass, but I have to do it. I just have to do it to get myself in a situation to be able to be productive, energetic, and do what I need to do every single day. I realize that I just have to do it. But I'm still working on, like, how can I do this differently? How can I do this still with like fresh vegetables, whole foods, etc. All those things. Those are just a little bit of anecdotes from my life in terms of what I'm doing to take my bad goals to good goals and prevent my good goals from becoming bad goals. It's a lot of it's like a mindset. A lot of it is a intentional change, right? We can't expect subconsciously for our bodies to do what we want. Subconsciously, your body's going to do for what it thinks it wants, which is, I don't want to do anything so I don't get hurt. I don't want to do anything so I don't feel I don't want to do anything so that involves energy. So you have to put yourself in a situation where your body wants to be active, wants to be energetic, wants to do things, That being said, take stock of your goals. Think about, are they good or bad? And if they're good or bad for you, don't judge other people on their goals. They're going through different things than we are. I will never judge you on your goals. I will just let you know, if you ask me, what do you think? I will let you know what I think. And I will just try and give you objective advice. I hope you have a good rest of the week. I hope you have a good rest of your day today when you're listening to this. Thank you for once again listening to one of these ramblers. Some are always good and structured. Some are always, ramblers. And I think having a mix of it keeps it a little bit more me than super scripty. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you for listening to the End Goal podcast with me. Hi, if I didn't introduce myself earlier, my name is Arish, and this podcast is a chronicling of my successes and failures on my way to my end goal that I don't even know what that is yet, but I'm trying to find it. And this podcast is my archive of my life up until then, or parts of my life up until then. It's not my entire life, but parts of my life up until then. If you enjoy this, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button, if you subscribe to the channel, if you leave any sort of comments down below. It really helps out the channel, it really helps out these videos, and it really lets me know if you do or don't like what's going on here. Because I don't run ads on these things, I don't really have a plan to like super adify it. If I find something that I think is really cool and I can find a sponsor at some point, that'd be great. So I can bring you guys really cool stuff that I also use and love and then bring it to you guys. But I don't necessarily plan to run ads on these things. So it only grows by word of mouth. It only grows by sharing, liking, and letting like the algorithms know that, oh, people are watching this. Maybe I can push it to more people. I will see you guys next week for more. If you haven't already, follow me on Instagram. I post all the clips, extra quotes, extra little things there. And if you haven't already, boy, get on Thread. Follow your boy on Threads. I'm super enjoying my time there as it is still new and in an incubation phase. A lot of my feed is what I want it to be, bookish, and then my digital mentors. So if you like Threads, and if you're on there already, follow me on Intro Archives. If you don't like Threads and you just like Instagram, follow me on the End Goal podcast. That being said, have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you all, and I hope all of you guys find your end goal.